Welcome to the beginner's guide on creating this ultimate auto-summing machine. Now this device is going to be able to accept your inbox individually so you can return unknowns, and it'll let you auto-play games so you can level up your little summies, and it'll send down your leaderboard automatically. Before you get started, I encourage you to watch this whole video just so you can get an idea and see the steps involved in creating something like this. They're easy steps, and as long as you follow along carefully, by the end of this video, you'll be able to label yourself as a full-time 24/7 auto-returner, or auto-sender, or auto-player. And the best part about this is that we will not need an external computer at all to set up this device. It's all going to take place right here on the phone. This video does focus on one particular phone model, and that is the official first step is to purchase the Alcatel Ideal 4060A. What this is an AT&T prepaid Go phone, and this particular model in this box has been unlocked from the AT&T network, but that does not matter. As long as you find this exact phone model, the Alcatel Ideal 4060A, then you can continue with this video. I've got a direct link in the description to the exact Amazon listing where I purchased the phone that you see running right now. Whether you buy it from that listing or you buy a cheaper listing, it might have some different packaging depending on where you buy it, but in the end, the price range is between $35 to $50, so definitely look around. This phone for sure ships domestically within the United States. I'm unsure about the availability of it internationally, so definitely do your research and search around to see what you can find. And always buy a brand new, don't buy a used phone because you never know what is going on with it. The only other small issue is that I do not believe they manufacture this phone anymore. I've done a lot of research and I've played with many phones and I've determined this one to be the best one. It runs Android 5.1, but it runs pretty well. So I've started research on future phones that are this easy to set up without a computer. Now that we've covered the first step of purchasing this phone, and trust me, it's going to be well worth the investment if you're interested in becoming an auto sender. Even if you're a veteran auto sender, this video is going to have great information for you. Great information on setting up Robotmon on a standalone device. Great information on rooting Android phones in general. So with all of that being said, we can continue on to the official step number 2, and that is unboxing the phone and turning it on. We've got the phone itself. We've got the wall adapter, the wall charger, the phone battery, the micro USB charging cable, and the back of the phone, as well as the instruction manual. Now you can read over this instruction manual or you can just follow along with the video. On the right side of the phone, you've got the power button and the 2 volume buttons, and those are the only buttons that this phone has. So go ahead, hold that down and power it up and give it time to boot up, because it might take a little bit for the first boot. This is the welcome screen, and we get that no SIM card message right away. That's alright. We don't need a SIM card on this phone. You just tap that away and continue with the phone setup. Again, insert SIM card, we don't need one. And here is where you select your Wi-Fi network. If you don't have a Wi-Fi network, then you can't use this phone. So either use your home network or a mobile hotspot on your main cell phone. So this screen is going to ask you to eventually sign into your Google account, and if you don't have a Google account, you can create one. It's free, and you're going to need one anyway to download Tsum Tsum. If you want to create one from this screen, you have the more options right here, and you'll have set up work device or create account. You can create the account right there. I received this screen right here about setting up payment info. I don't want to do anything with that. But now we get to the phone lock screen. We don't need a screen lock on this phone, so I always skip it and skip it anyway. Next is the Google Services screen, letting you know what you want to agree to. I personally uncheck every little thing because in the end, it's just less stuff for the phone to be doing in the background while it's auto sending on Tsum Tsum. And then finally, we've reached the home screen. Your home screens and apps might look a little different than mine because I have already actually set this phone up, but I'm doing it again to show you guys what I do. Go into the phone settings and enable the developer options. To do this, we go all the way to the bottom of the settings and find the About Phone setting and look for the build number, and we have to tap on the build number. I think it's around 7 times. And there we go, you're now a developer. And what that does is it unlocks this new setting in the settings, well, I mean a new menu option in the settings, called Developer Options. And this is what we need to do next. Go into those developer options and look for OEM Unlock. Make sure that you have this checked. If it looks like this, make sure you tap it and enable OEM Unlocking. This will unlock the bootloader, which we will need for a future step. So make sure you have OEM unlocked. And real quick, in the settings under lock screen, I set the screen lock to none and turned everything off. That way, if the screen does time out, all you have to do is just press the power button again to open it up. You don't have to swipe up a lock or anything. A lot easier that way. Now we have to start downloading some important files and apps. So let's start in the Google Play Store. The first app we're going to download is called TWRP Official. See it right there, I already searched for it. The first one right here, and install that. The next app we want is the Root Check. The top one right here, Root Checker. Install. And one last app from the Google Play Store, and that is System App Remover right here. Install that. I've also disabled the auto updates for my apps in the Google Play Store because if you're following along with this video and you literally just unbox this phone, you're going to have a ton of apps that are going to be lined up just waiting to update. I've gone through and deleted most of the apps. We'll cover that later. So just to make it easier, I turned off my auto updates for now because we don't need that stuff going on in the background as we set up this phone. Going along with disabling the automatic updates right now, go back over here into the Google Play Store settings and make sure you tap on Play Protect. And temporarily right now, we want to disable this scan device for security threats because it's going to actually delete the rooting APKs that we're going to download in a minute. We don't want it to delete any of these applications. It's just because Google doesn't want people rooting their phones because they do pose a security threat. Our 3 Google Play Store apps are right there on the home screen. Now the files we need to download, I made it a little easier. Instead of having them linked in the actual description of the YouTube video and having to search for the video and open up YouTube, I made it real easy. All we have to do is open the browser, which I've already replaced mine with Google Chrome, so the default browser is alright if you're following along with unboxing and setting up this phone. I've got these files hosted on a real easy to remember website. We're going to go to Logistics. .gq, and this is just a small little free site I created to host all of this stuff. And what we're going to be downloading is the Kingroot APK, the Custom Recovery image file, Magisk Root zip file, and the Magisk Manager. We're going to use Kingroot to temporarily root this phone in order to flash our custom recovery file, and then we're going to get rid of Kingroot because it's really not the best root method. Instead, we're going to replace that with Magisk and Magisk Manager. Go ahead and read these notes real quick. I have everything hosted on a personal Google Drive account just so that I can manage the links except for Kingroot. Kingroot is a direct link from kingroot.net. And a quick disclaimer, the links provided are for your personal use only. All rights and credits belong to their respective developers, and I encourage you to visit the XDA forums for more information on Kingroot, Custom Recovery, Magisk Root, and Magisk Manager. This data is compiled by me for informational use only. All rights belong to their respective owners. Let's start right away with Kingroot, the first link. So any messages about it harming your device, it's alright. Custom Recovery file, that's going to link to the Google Drive. Next is the Magisk zip file. And then the Magisk Manager APK. Our downloads are complete. And now that means we've got everything installed that we need, and we can move on to the official step number 4. Now we're going to temporarily root this phone with Kingroot, so make sure you've got it charged up to a decent amount. I'm at 63% battery life. We need to go into the file manager. Make sure you're in the phone storage right here and go to download, and here you'll see everything that we just downloaded from that Lit Logistics website. We've got the Magisk zip file, Magisk Manager APK, the Kingroot APK, and the Custom Recovery image. If you did not disable those Play Protect services, it's possible that it's going to automatically delete Magisk Manager and the Kingroot APK. Because like I said, Google doesn't want people rooting their phones because it can really mess up the phone. If I remember correctly, the first time I set one of these phones up, the file manager didn't recognize Kingroot as an Android package file. So what I had to do was actually rename it something simple like KR for Kingroot, because it has this huge long file name. But if you see the little crown icon, that means it recognizes it, so you don't have to do that. But if you ever see something like that, you'll recognize it. Make sure to go into your settings before we get started and go into security, and we have to allow the installation from unknown sources. Make sure this is checked, and now we can go back to our downloads, and we'll go ahead and just tap the Kingroot Android package file. You can read over this if you'd like to, and tap on install. The app is installed. You can go ahead and open it right away so that we can just get started with temporarily rooting the phone. Simple root is easier and faster. That's right. Secure, reinforced system security. Try it. And don't touch anything, just let it run. And now we get the option to try the root because it's not rooted yet. Here we go. Don't tap optimize or anything. What we want to check is the top left corner. Open this up and we can see that it says root successfully, and the model number, the Alcatel 4060A, and the Android system 5.1.1. Now to be sure, we can run our official root checker. Agree. Give it a second here. There's the prompt. You always want to allow the super user access. And there we go. The phone is now rooted. We're not going to leave it rooted with Kingroot though. We only rooted it so that we can flash our custom recovery. And that is now going to be the official step number 5. Basically, every phone has a recovery just in case anything did happen to it. It's where it keeps all of the factory settings, all of the data. If you ever had to do a factory reset or something happened to the phone, by flashing a custom recovery, we'll be able to boot into our custom recovery and install the proper root access with Magisk Root. Now to get started with this, I'm going to just clear out these running apps down here. 70 megabytes freed up. Open up the official TWRP app, and you've got to choose your Google account. Agree, run with root permissions. And this app is kind of buggy. If you check the last one here, nothing happens. You can't do anything. It'll stop. So let's go back in there. Check I agree, run with root permissions, and then just tap OK. Don't worry about the last one. Now right here, we're going to tap on TWRP Flash. And here we got the super user prompt again with Kingroot. Always allow that. We granted permission. Don't select a device because this device isn't listed in there. This is a custom TWRP custom recovery. Select a file to flash, SD card 0, and go to our download. And there it is, TWRP 4060A image file. Tap on that, select it. You see we have no device selected, that's fine. And we have our image file right here. That's what we need. Tap flash to recovery and confirm the flash. The flash is completed. We can clear out the running apps. and continue on to step number 6. Step number 6 involves us uninstalling Kingroot and unrooting the phone now that we have our custom recovery flashed onto the phone. To uninstall Kingroot, we go back to this home screen right here. The top right corner, go to settings, scroll all the way down, you'll see uninstall Kingroot. Tap on that, and yes, after unroot you'll lose root access. Continue, and do not keep a backup. Do not uncheck that. Tap OK. It's going to open up your web browser and ask you why you uninstalled it. Don't worry about that. Just close it out and make sure the app is gone from your app screen. And just to be sure, go into the file manager and phone storage, and let's delete all of these folders that appear with anything that has to do with Kingroot. Delete. And just to be extra sure, make sure you search Kingroot, anything that has to do with Kingroot. Remember, I renamed my Kingroot APK to KR, so we can also just delete that APK now. We don't need it. Kingroot should now be completely eradicated from this phone, and we can continue to reboot the device into the recovery mode. Remember, I told you earlier that the official TWRP app has some bugs in it. If you open the app and go to TWRP Flash and go in the menu settings and go to reboot, it does have an option to just reboot the phone into recovery. However, it doesn't work. You could try all you want. It might work for you. Try this first. For me, it doesn't work. So I'll show you how we can reboot the phone into recovery mode using the power and volume buttons. Hold down the power button until you get the menu to power the phone off. Now to reboot it into recovery mode, you want to hold down the power button and the volume up button. Let go of the power button and keep holding the volume up button when you see the Alcatel logo. We're in the Team Win Recovery Project Custom Recovery. On the main page of this recovery, we have a bunch of menu options, and the first thing we're going to do is create a backup of this phone, just in case anything gets messed up. I would highly recommend you insert an external SD card if you have one, but it's not mandatory. By default, the storage option is going to be listed as internal storage. The partitions, if you scroll all the way down, don't worry about anything else. You should have boot, system, and data already checked by default. Again, if you have an external SD card, you would want to select the external SD card for the storage of the backup. But if you don't, that's alright. Leave it as internal storage. Leave these default partitions checked, and you can swipe to back up. It takes a little while, so I'll skip to the end of it for you. This is the message that you should now receive. Successful backup complete. Backup completed in whatever amount of seconds. And I just mentioned the external SD card because you can see total size of all data, 1,860 megabytes, and this phone only has 3,334 megabytes of available space, so that backup does take up a good amount, but it's worth it. Whether you have the SD card or not, that backup is going to help you out just in case anything happens and the phone gets messed up in the next step. We can go back. If you ever had to restore that backup, you would obviously come back to the home screen and tap on restore, and down here at the bottom where you saved it, either the internal storage or external storage, this is what the backup looks like. It's the time and date. You would tap on it to open it, and the 3 partitions that were backed up, and you would swipe to restore it. Hopefully you don't need to use it, but it's good to have. And now we can continue to step number 8. We are now going to root the phone with Magisk Root. Magisk Root is the best root method because it's what they call a systemless root. That means that it roots the phone without actually modifying the system files at all. To do this, we're going to tap on install and locate that download folder and open it, and we should see the 1 zip file, Magisk version 18.1. Tap on it and we simply just have to swipe to install. Now give it some time, and again, don't touch anything. Successful, we're going to tap on Reboot System. Now this is important. The next screen, it's telling you to install the Super SU, and your device does not appear to be rooted. We're not using Super SU, we're using Magisk Root. That's what we just flashed onto the phone. So tap on Do Not Install. Now we're back to the familiar home screen, and it looks like everything's working fine. We are not going to run the root checker just yet. We're actually going to install the Magisk Manager. So navigate to that Downloads folder, and there's the Magisk Manager APK. Go ahead, tap on it, and install it. The app is installed. Tap on Open, and this is the main home page of the Magisk Manager. What we need to do within the Magisk Manager is tap on the left-hand menu side over here, go to the settings, scroll all the way down until we find Request Timeout and Automatic Response. The only buggy thing with this phone with Magisk Manager is the super user prompt is very delayed. So tap on Automatic Response and Grant. That's going to help us out in the future. Request timeout, you can leave it at 10 seconds even though we just changed it to automatically grant. And the notification is none. This is going to help us out tremendously. Since we have granted automatic super user access, now we can run the root checker app. Tap on Verify Root, and look at that. This phone is now properly rooted with Magisk Root. Congratulations. It's now time for an optional yet highly recommended step. If you remember, I told you how my phone has already been cleaned up. I've gone through and deleted all of what they call bloatware. All this AT&T bloatware that was just sitting on the device, taking up space. There was a bunch of Google apps on here that you're never going to need with this Sumi machine. I think there was playbooks, news, weather. I deleted all of that stuff. And in order to delete system apps, you need to use an app like the System App Remover app. Now this app is the best app because it will actually let you know what is safe to remove and what's not safe to remove. As you can see, several things, it has a little message underneath, should keep, and it lets you know that you need root permissions. If you're setting this phone up out of the box, you'll see a bunch of that extra AT&T bloatware, all that extra stuff going on. This is where you have to be extra careful, because if you ignore these key modules, if you ignore something that says you should keep it, this is where you can really screw up the phone, and you're going to need to use that backup that we created in the custom recovery. To help you out, I'm going to show you my app screen, and I want you to compare your app screens to mine. I want you to look at each app on this first page and compare it to yours, and also on the second page. Compare these apps to what you have on your phone. This will give you an idea of what I went through and deleted. So now I will also show you the apps in my settings. I'm going to scroll down this list slowly, and you can pause the video at any time to compare the apps I have on my phone and the ones that are on your phone, to give you an idea of what you should delete with the System App Remover app. Again, it's completely optional to clear up all that bloatware, but in my opinion, that's just a bunch of stuff sitting on this phone that we don't need, that's going to slow it down and take up all that storage. Now me personally, after I've cleared all that bloatware out, I like to organize my home screen. I don't need contacts, I don't need the messaging app, I don't need the phone app. I'm not going to use the camera. I don't need this Google folder. I'm not going to use the gallery. I don't need anything from AT&T. And these apps as well, I can leave these in the app drawer if I ever have to access them again. Google, it's always good to leave there in case you do want to search something on the phone. And the Play Store, I always keep that around for easy access. And now that the phone is neat and clean, we can continue on to installing Tsum Tsum and Robotmon, or Robotmon. Start downloading all the fun stuff that we need. First we need the Robotmon launcher for the rooted phone. Next we need Robotmon itself. And then of course we need Tsum Tsum. We are not going to download the actual LINE messaging app. You do not need that to play Tsum Tsum on another device. And it just takes up a lot of space anyway, and you're not going to use it on this phone at all. So do not download the LINE messaging app. Now that we have our 3 apps installed on the phone, we can go into the phone settings, look for apps, scroll to the right until you see restricted. And we want to unrestrict Magisk Manager, Robotmon, the launcher, and Tsum Tsum. Make sure these are all unchecked so that they can run freely without interruption. Let's start by opening Robotmon itself and getting the scripts downloaded that we need. You don't need to worry about enabling USB debugging because this is all going to take place on the phone. We're not going to be plugging it into a computer because it's rooted. We can use the rooted launcher. Now this is the Robotmon home screen basically, and you can see our service is off, so don't worry about that right now. What we're going to do is come over to the script store and tap on the Disney Tsum Tsum script and tap on download and give that some time to download. Now just tap the script to get it uncompressed. And it's normal for Robotmon to show some ads. You can skip the ad. Once that is uncompressed, we have this little floating widget right here. You tap on it and you open up the controls. Now we're going to go over that in a minute. For right now, let's just close that, stop it, and let's get set up on the Tsum Tsum app. Open Tsum Tsum. If you have never run Tsum Tsum on a rooted device before, you get this message. You always want to permit it. It doesn't do anything malicious. It's not doing anything weird. It's not a security threat. For some reason, they just want to collect some data to see what's going on. So always permit that. And continue setting up Tsum Tsum as usual. Here we can log in with LINE or Facebook. I only have a LINE login, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I don't have a Facebook login, so I'm going to skip that and continue playing with game data and tap to start. Download anything extra, all the extra updates that Tsum Tsum goes through. Finally logged into Tsum Tsum, and I just wanted to explain to you really quick, if you have only ever played this on iOS, on an iPhone or iPad, the only problem is that your rubies are not going to carry over because these rubies are handled by the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. You're going to have a different amount of rubies on an Android device compared to an iOS device. Before we get started with the next step, it appears as if I have received a Magisk Manager update. We're going from version 7.0 to 7.1.1, so I'll go ahead and just update that right here. Do you want to install the Magisk Manager? Yes, install. Allow the installation from the source. And now the app is installed, and let's see, everything within Magisk Manager seems to be up to date. Let's double check our settings for root permissions. We still have an automatic response of grant, request timeout, and no notification. Magisk Manager is up to date, and now we can run the rooted launcher for Robotmon. And remember, we have it set to automatically grant root permissions, so let's tap on Start Service. And if you ever want to be sure that you are granting super user access to an app, you can head back into the Magisk Manager, tap over here in the settings, and there's a super user menu option. Open that up and you can see that the Robotmon launcher has been granted access. Next we can open the Robotmon app itself, and this is important. We should now see that service is now on the bottom left hand corner. Let's go ahead and tap open the Tsum Tsum script again, and I can dive into the settings and explanations for you. To get into the Robotmon settings, you tap the little floating widget and tap the little gear icon. And now we can start by going down the list. We're not running the Japan version, this is going to be the international version, so we're going to leave that off. Special screen ratio, This is for newer phones with the longer screens. I leave it checked anyway just because it kind of helps with little glitches and bugs that Robotmon has. Auto launch the Tsum app, yes, turn that on. That's good because just in case something happens and the app crashes, it'll start back up automatically. Autoplay game, we're going to leave that on. That's going to help us out. Slow calculation will improve autoplay scores, so that's up to you if you'd like to have a better score with autoplay compared to just leveling the Tsums up. Pause when calculating, it goes along the same thing where it'll pause the game and calculate what to swipe next. It's for better score, but I leave it off. Clear bubbles you can leave on. Use the fan. You can leave this on or off. I turn this off because lately, as of this video, leaving this option turned on has been kind of glitchy with autoplay. It'll be pausing the game and unpausing it. Now the boosts, 5-4, coin, bubble, all bonus items. If you're playing autoplay for coins, you can leave these off. If you want to play just for leveling up your Tsums, you would want to leave 5-4 turned on, but that's later on once you've been running this auto-Tsuming machine and gaining more coin, so leave that off as well. Now the skill waiting time. The waiting time is how long it takes the skill to complete. Normally leave this at 2 seconds, and the skill level, you can always leave this at 6. I really never notice a difference in how this works. Whether it's a skill 1 or skill 6 type Tsum, it seems to perform the same. The easiest and best Tsums to use for autoplay are burst Tsums, but they do have other options. You can see Jedi Luke, Moana, Marie, Miss Bunny, Rabbit, Snow White, Cinderella. For right now, let's leave it on burst. Now receive all hearts. This will open the inbox and tap on claim all. If you'd like to be an unknown auto returner, you've got to turn this off. Instead, you want to turn on receive hearts one by one, and this will open the inbox and claim each item individually and return the heart, especially to the unknowns. So skip ruby is an option. On some devices, there's a glitch where as soon as the inbox comes down to a ruby and accepts it, it closes and almost crashes basically and doesn't continue accepting the rest of the coins. So if you ever had that issue, you would turn that on to skip the ruby and leave it in the inbox. Times to open the mailbox. We leave this at 5. That seems to be a pretty decent default amount of time to open the mailbox to claim everything individually. Except the waiting time, we turn this down to 1 minute. Now record sender and enlarge the sender's image. You can record the hearts you receive in your Tsum Tsum inbox. What that will do is take a screenshot of the sender in your inbox and group it together and list how many times that person popped up in your inbox, which would show you how many hearts you received from that person until you press stop. Then the recording is going to stop and start a new log. And this saves in a folder on the phone under Tsum Record. Enlarge the sender's image emulator. This is for when you're running Nox or BlueStacks on a PC and you export the list to the computer, it'll enlarge the image so you can read it a little better. Auto send hearts, we want to turn that on, and this is up to you. Send to 0 score, that's completely self-explanatory. I turn this on because there are a few auto returners out there who don't keep a score. Now max runtime, start from the first place if it's at 0. So we want to leave this at 0 so when the time comes, it'll scroll to the top of your leaderboard and start sending the hearts down from the beginning. And the waiting time before repeat. Now we all know that you can only send 1 heart every hour, so it might not make sense to want to scroll the leaderboard within another hour and send individual hearts down again when they're not all there. I leave this at 31 minutes, a half hour, just so that in between auto games and accepting the inbox, it'll scroll my leaderboard and catch up on a couple hearts that may have been missed. And that is pretty much it. Now the best part about this is having the auto launch Tsum app turned on. We can close the settings and we can actually press play from the home screen right here, and it'll open up the Tsum app for us and just start running. When the Tsum app first launches like this, the first thing it's going to do is open up your inbox and start receiving it one by one like it's doing right now. After it catches up your inbox, it'll scroll to the top of your leaderboard and start sending hearts to each person on your leaderboard. Once it reaches the bottom of your leaderboard and sends all the hearts, it'll open your inbox again and start accepting it one by one to get everything caught up. After everything is caught up, it'll now start to autoplay games for you. After each game, it'll go back to your inbox and start accepting your messages one by one again. And then from there, it'll just repeat. Once the inbox is caught back up, it'll autoplay more games until that timer hits again to scroll the leaderboard, which in this video, you saw I set it up for every 30 minutes. So it'll continue with this cycle until it hits 30 minutes again, where it'll finish a game and start scrolling the leaderboard. This is the cycle that it will continue on for as long as it stays running. Keep in mind that Robotmon is not perfect, and there are some times where it may bug out and tap some other stuff that's not relevant. Maybe the Tsum app will crash. Anything can happen, so it is good to always keep an eye on it. After some time of the script running, you may notice that the Robotmon controls tend to disappear. Now this is normal. If you're brand new to auto sending, you may not know, but you cannot play on your main phone while this phone is sending and receiving and playing. You must stop the script on this auto-summing machine in order to play the game on your main phone. If you don't, then it'll be fighting with you and tapping tap to play while you tap to play. In order to get the script to stop when the controls have disappeared, you can either reboot the phone or you can try to navigate to the home screen and open up the rooted launcher and stop the service. Which is kind of a game in itself to get in between the taps and open up the launcher, stop the service, and then the script will be stopped, and you can clear everything out and let the phone rest and play on your main phone. First of all, I'd like to take the time to congratulate you on setting up this ultimate auto-summing machine. The first tip I have for you actually goes back to that optional step I covered earlier in this video, and that was deleting all of the bloatware and extra apps on this phone. The more bloatware you delete and the more extra apps you get rid of, the less of a chance you have of something running in the background that's going to slow this phone down and cause stuff to crash and blow up. Next, I would say that it's always best to reboot this phone whenever you have the opportunity to do so. Rebooting the phone refreshes all of the apps and processes that are running on it, and it does a lot better job than tapping the little square and clearing out all of the running apps. I personally only reboot the phone after every couple of days, or if I'm going to play an event, or if I notice that the Robotmon script is screwing up, or just something weird's going on, I'll reboot the phone and refresh everything. Always make sure to turn your brightness all the way down. This device is going to be sitting and running on a table or a chair or a desk or wherever you have it, and the brightness does not need to be at a maximum level. This device is going to get very warm, pretty much hot, while it's running 24/7, so turning the brightness down definitely helps to alleviate some of that heat. Now the heat comes from the back of the phone, so I actually run my phone face down. Because heat rises, having the phone face down is going to help dissipate some of the direct heat coming off of the processor. On a standalone cell phone device like this, there's no way to turn the screen off but have the phone still run in the background. The only negative risk of keeping the phone face down is that when you walk in the room, you can't directly look at the phone and see what's going on. You gotta walk over and flip it over. In my next video, I will show you how to remotely access this summing machine, or any other device for that matter, from your main smartphone via the internet if you're away from home. This will allow you to check in on it or to stop the script remotely in order to play on your main phone. If you're away or at work, it's possible to stop the script and get some games in via the internet. Thanks for taking the time to add me to your leaderboard. Lit.logistics, unknown auto returner, 24 hours, 7 days a week.